I think I started working for Google in 2008, if I'm not mistaken, and it was a remote job. I was a search engine specialist, so I was part of the broader search engine team, and my kind of goal was to, help Google better understand the Czech market, because the Czech market at the time was very unique for Google. It was one of the four markets in the whole world where Google wasn't the number one search engine.
Hi, listeners. Welcome to Season 1, Episode 1 of Building eCommerce with Redwan. This new podcast segment will focus on the builders of the Shopify and WooCommerce ecosystems. Hear from Shopify and WooCommerce agencies, freelancers, app developers, SaaS marketing experts, and thought leaders about their journey, their learning and success stories, and their strategic playbook for growth and partnership. In today's episode, we have Tomas, Janu, co-founder of Digismoothie. His expertise spans across Shopify, e-commerce, Shopify app development, and localization strategies. I'd highly recommend taking some notes throughout the show because there'll definitely be some golden nuggets to pick up and apply to your business. Hi, Tomas. Pleased to have you on board with us all the way from Prague. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Red. Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to join you.
Yeah. So, we've been in conversation for a while now, and most importantly, some of the work that Digismoothie's done throughout the years has been fantastic. So, if we were to look back to your roots, starting from Google, then to Avast, then to co-founding Digismoothie, tell us a bit about your journey and that got you here today.
Sure thing. So I think I started working for Google in 2008, if I'm not mistaken, and it was a remote job. I was a search engine specialist, so I was part of the broader search engine team, and my kind of goal was to, help Google better understand the Czech market, because the Czech market at the time was very unique for Google. It was one of the four markets in the whole world where Google wasn't the number one search engine. So they were really interested to kind of, understand better why it's that, and how does the local competition working here. So that was my first role, but I was sort of always attracted more towards the business and e-commerce. So in 2008, it was about the same time, I actually launched my first online store. I built it on Magento. It was a beta version at the time, and I think it was the probably first Magento store here in the Czech Republic. And that was a great kind of experience for me, because I did everything myself. I was never, a developer, but I was able to, do a bit of HTML, CSS, tweak the theme here and there. And I did everything from sort of building the store up and running to marketing, customer communications, product sourcing, and so on. So, and I really enjoyed it. So when I decided to kind of move on and go full throttle in e-commerce, I coincidentally landed at the interview at Avast, which was the e-commerce role in 2011, and that was like a big eye opener for me, because I realized I can do everything I did on my small online store, but I can do it on a massive global scale. I can do the CRO, the A/B testing, and that was the game changer. I think I've been at Avast for almost 10 years, and everything I've learned practically came from there. So I will always have the highest praise about the company and the people there, because that's what got me here today.
Oh, fantastic. If I actually look back at my teenage years, Avast was one of the most available freemium antivirus software is available in Bangladesh. I think I remember downloading it from filehippo.com on my desktop back in the day. It had the cute orange logo in it. Yeah, life's a full circle. Like, never thought in my lifetime that I'd be speaking to someone from one of the softwares that I used to use during my teenage times. But here we are today. But one interesting question, though, like you mentioned that you started your first e-commerce store on Magento. I assume that was back in the early 2008, early 2010 time. That's a timeline that you're looking at, if I'm correct.
Yeah, that's correct. I kind of I wasn't sure, to be honest, so I looked up the day I registered the domain, and it was 2008, and I think it was still a beta version of Magento, and it was launched officially I think within a year or so. But it was a working e-commerce platform.
Oh yeah, I mean even WordPress was like like a functioning platform back then. What drew your attention more towards Magento when even when WordPress or WooCommerce was around?
Like many things, I will be or many things in my life. It was a coincidence, and actually one of my friends sort of got into Magento somehow and told me about this amazing open source platform. Which is a game changer in e-commerce. So I was really excited to kind of test it out, and it wasn't easy, to be honest. Especially if I'm now able to compare it with Shopify or other platforms, it was a bit more complex and sometimes hard to navigate. But it was also the beta. I guess that today's version of Magento is probably also very different.
Yeah, perfect. Also, like just quickly jumping in, like you had mentioned that while you were at Avast, right? Like you realized that you could do all that you were doing at Avast in a much larger scale, right? So was that your eureka moment or like the aha moment, like at Avast, that I'm gonna move into the e-commerce ecosystem, or were there any other like factors that really drew your attention to the whole e-commerce ecosystem, and which led to I'm gonna make my own agency now?
Right. So I think I kind of realized my whole career life that e-commerce is the industry and the world I want to be in, because I was able to navigate in it and I really enjoyed it. And when it comes to Shopify, that's another coincidence. So I knew about the platform for a while, but it was never at the time. It wasn't big here. It still isn't big in Europe, right? There are other e-commerce platforms around, which are that known in North America. So, but we met up with a friend, and he's an app developer, and he has I think one app on the App Store. And he told us about this amazing ecosystem and how you kind of build the app, and through the App Store you can get it to millions of merchants around the world very quickly and very easily. And we were kind of excited about testing it as well. So that's kind of how we got into the Shopify ecosystem.
Oh, that's an exciting journey. I mean, we always relying on that one pivotal or that change making person in our life that sort of helps us pivot a little bit. So that's always fun to have. As you mentioned about that little journey over there, it just hit me that one of the things that you particularly mentioned, that Shopify isn't still popular in Europe, but there is significant data around the web, and particularly our internal findings as well at MyAlice. They we have seen that in Czech Republic, Shopify is seen at almost a 250% year-on-year growth with Shopify stores, right? A couple of years ago, there probably were a few hundred stores, but now there are over 2,500 stores operating out of Czech Republic. What would you say were the factors that drove such a massive growth?
Yeah, I think first of all, Czech Republic is very unique, not just in the search engine world, but also in the e-commerce world. I think we have the highest number of online stores per capita in Europe. So we are a pretty small country, but I think we have maybe over 40,000 online stores running by entrepreneurs in our country. So the fact that there is a quite large user base, that's the first fact. And the second fact is that people in Czech Republic nowadays realize they don't want to sell just within the country or region. They want to sell, maybe not necessarily globally, but at least they want to sell in Europe or in the US. And with some of the local platforms, it may be quite challenging. So they realize if they want to expand and if they want to grow the business abroad, they may need, a global platform, which Shopify is. So I think that those two factors, like having the large user base of online stores who are willing to expand, that creates the demand for platforms like Shopify.
Fantastic. But I mean, there are also e-commerce platform like Facebook or like other marketplaces like Amazon, and you just mentioned that the Czech market, the entrepreneurs just didn't want to stick in within the country to be able to sell. They wanted to sell cross borders, right? So why wasn't like Facebook or Amazon the go-to places for them? As you have, as Digismoothie exists, and I'm assume there are a lot of other agencies that also exist, right? Why was there a suggestion to these entrepreneurs to not just stick to Facebook or a marketplace where they already can access these, international markets very easily because the marketplace is already set up? So what are basically the factors that, Digismoothie or you yourself take into account to advise, aspiring entrepreneurs to recommend them, hey, come on Shopify and set up your business over here?
Right. So, you can, start your store on Facebook or list your products on Amazon and reach the global audience very easily. The thing is that I think it's very short term. I don't think you can build a sustainable business on running solely on those platforms. I think if you are serious in the D2C space, and if you want to continue building your brand long term, then you need to own everything, and that's why I think it's important to kind of start on the platform like Shopify. I think there are stories like someone started on Facebook or Amazon, but sooner or later they will get to the point that they need better control over their product catalog. They need better data about their store. They need better tools for their marketing, and that's the time exactly when they move to a dedicated e-commerce platform.
Yeah. So one thing we can just outright establish is that if you're looking to scale your business, particularly also build a brand around whatever you're selling, no matter what the product is, having your own platform is quite important in that sense. But would you also say that other platforms like Facebook, right? And even Messenger or Instagram, that's becoming quite a popular platform for selling. You'd need to be present in these social and messaging channels side by side to Shopify to be able to bring out the best results, right? You need multi-channel at the end of the day to ensure that you're selling across wherever your consumers are, right?
Yeah, exactly. 100% agree. And that's actually something I wanted to add up, that all those other channels are actually a very good complement to direct online store channel. And they are very beneficial, but you need your own online store first, and then you can add the additional channels.
Yeah. What are some of the most used social channel and messaging channel in Czech Republic?
I think it's very similar to North American market. We are kind of just 2 and 3 years behind. So Facebook is still very popular here. Instagram grew a lot in the last few years, and recently TikTok is getting being really popular, especially among the the younger generation, which is below 20 years old.
So like no like WhatsApp, no Viber, like people generally don't resort to these messaging channels at all.
Oh yes, WhatsApp as well. I thought you were asking about social media, but definitely WhatsApp. WhatsApp is really popular here. Viber,
Okay.
not so much.
Okay. Yeah, so that's a fresh intake on how the market operates. That's actually quite cool to know. In Bangladesh, you'd be quite surprised to know that like actually it's not as much. WhatsApp is there, Viber is there, but amongst the general crowd, it's actually this app called Emo, like IMO, and that's surprisingly the most used messaging channel out there in Bangladesh. And no clue how that came up, but it's quite interesting because you don't quite see emo being present anywhere else. Um, but yeah, let's circling back to Digismoothie. It's been a big part of your journey, and if we were to look back at the first year at Digismoothie, how was it? Like how was your experience starting out such an exciting adventure?
So, as in every SaaS business, the first year which I consider the starting from the time when you actually have the service up and running. So the first year since then was very slow because you don't have any clients, you don't have any user base you can use and share your service with them. So we started really slowly, and we kind of build up from that. So I think when we launched the app, we were getting like maybe 1 or 2 installs a day. So that was really small compared to today's numbers. But also it kind of allowed us to give 1 or 2 merchants a day like really tailored service. So we really made sure that the app is working properly for them. We gave them a few tips how to set it up correctly, and then we continue monitor how much business they are actually making thanks to Candirect. And that really worked because those 1 or 2 merchants, they were really happy with the app and our service. And sooner or later, they recommended the app and the service to some of their friends. They recommended it on other channels like YouTube, and that kind of moved us from 1 or 2 installs to 5 and 10, and later dozens a day, and it worked like a snowball effect. So the start and the ramp up phase was really slow, but then it accelerated pretty quickly, and I think by end of the first year we reached 1,000 merchants with our active merchants with our app, and we reached the $20,000 MRR, which was we didn't have any sort of expectations, and it was quite a nice surprise.
Oh wow! Did Digismoothie start out with their agency unit first, or the app unit, or was it simultaneous?
That's a very interesting question. So first we start up with the app. So before we got the app to the App Store, our issue was none of us was a developer. So we had to look what are our options if we how we can make this app happen. So there were a couple of options, and luckily we found Joseph, who is a local app developer and author of some of our apps, and he helped us to make the Candirect up and running. I think it took 3 to 4 months. It was pretty fast, to be honest.
Oh wow!
And then within the year, we sort of built a name locally for doing Shopify, and we were receiving a lot of contacts about people asking about Shopify, whether we would be able to help them building the store or migrating from one platform to Shopify. And initially we always say, well, look, Shopify is a great platform, but we are really sorry, we are focusing on our app business. And at some point, I think it kind of reached the critical mass, and we realized we need to do something to help all those people, because the demand will just continue to grow. It won't stop soon. So we kind of started the agency. I think it was maybe at the end of the first year or something like that. So we started like separately to our apps unit. We started an agency unit, which are both independent, but we are sharing some some resources and some experience, and it works great because from the agency unit we get a different perspective, and it's a very raw and direct perspective from the client side, what they like about Shopify and what they are missing, and then it kind of fuels ideas to apps, so we know what are some of the obstacles they need to overachieve, and maybe it makes sense that we kind of resolve it as a inform of global app.
Yeah. I mean, like, Digismoothie's made some spectacular apps. If I look at some of the names like Candy Rack, Paystar, Givebox, Loyal, to even like some of the localized ones like such as like Factoroid, right? So the stuff that like the app team has done is like quite remarkable if I just look at the portfolio. So how did the whole the thought process come? What was your first app that you guys thought of making, and and then how did each of these apps in Digismoothie's portfolio come to exist?
Sure. So the first app was Candy, which is a platform to allow you upsell and cross-sell your customers on Shopify. And at the time in 2019, the upsell market on Shopify was relatively small compared to today. Today there are, I think, maybe tens of different upsell apps, and each is similar or the same to some degree. And there are also different channels for upselling, like the post-purchase upsell, which weren't enabled back then. And we thought, through Candy Rack you can, the difference, the unique difference compared to other apps at the time was the simplicity. So it allowed you to set up the upsells if you were really like a non-technical person and didn't have much of even marketing knowledge. So it allows you to quickly set it up so you understand how to use the app. And then it looked great. So back then some of the apps, especially their front ends, didn't look that appealing, which for many merchants on Shopify was a no-go, because their stores are usually beautiful, using very, very slick themes. So Candy kind of natively merged into that. And third, it was just working. So we have seen in general stores bumping their revenue by 10-15%, which is something you won't get without upselling. So the fact that it worked, that really helped. And then we already had some of the local integrations. So the apps you mentioned, Factoroid or Zásilkovna, those are basically integrations to some of the local invoicing or fulfillment services local merchants wants to use, and Shopify doesn't have them natively. And then the other apps were sort of we have a full bucket list of the app ideas. So each we kind of carefully select which one we should go with and which one will stay in the bucket for now. There is a certain process for that, and some of them were just it's basically where we see the highest demand and the lowest competition. That's how we go about it.
Yeah, no, always good to be some of the rare fish in the sea. You don't want to be in the crowd, otherwise it's already too competitive there. No, but fair. And, you've been you also your Digismoothie's agency side started by the end of the first year. So say it's been 3 years now that Digismoothies been making Shopify websites for new entrepreneurs entering the market, right? So with your regular interactions or dealing with such raw moments with clients, right? What are some of the most asked for functions or tools that you see entrepreneurs asking to be included in their storefront?
Sure. So I think in general, people are now much more oriented on the UX and the look and feel of the store. So choosing the right theme is very important. Luckily with Shopify, even the free themes, especially the 2.0 ones, are just are great and works really well on both desktop and mobile devices, which is super important. So besides the look and feel, I guess there's a set of apps or areas of apps which every store needs. So we see a lot of the stores are using some email marketing tools, so they need some service for that. A lot of the stores are using some product reviews platform, so because it's not a native part of the theme, so you need some sort of a add-on. A lot of the stores are using some tool for managing customer requests, so it's typically in front of online chat, and then you have a sort of a help desk. And I would say the more advanced stores, they are looking for some analytics, could be like more advanced analytics, something you cannot find in the standard Shopify dashboards and reports. Page builders. So I think Shopify still likes this functionality. If you want to build a custom landing page and really customize it, there is no way how you can do it quickly in Shopify. So that's why a lot of merchants are kind of turning on for page builders. And then it would be probably some upselling and cross-selling, because that's also not native part of the platform. And if you want to do that right, you need some advanced solution. So those would be like the areas of what usually the store owners need. But in general, when you launch the store, you kind of don't need any app. Like it works without any app as well perfectly.
Yeah, because like at the end of the day, your main objective is to like really have a storefront, right? So all other functionalities you can think of as you scale. So talking about scaling, like, but as the market is still relatively new, how much would you say like are the sort of like the division or the segment, if you think about it as the industry in itself, like what percentage would you say are like small to medium businesses in the Czech market, and then you have like the medium to big businesses on Shopify, and then you have seen like a business start as a small to medium business and then scale themselves up all the way to like a large business on Shopify. Like what's the percentage you would say in terms of splitting in the Czech market?
So I think you are right. Like even globally, like a lot of the store owners and the businesses on Shopify are really small. Maybe not. I wouldn't even consider them a business, because it's a lot of the times it's just entrepreneur, like a one man or a woman running the store, him or herself. Yeah. And then it's gonna, some of them will succeed and they will grow, and some of them will unfortunately sunset and won't continue to exist. But this group, I think, is very, very large on Shopify in general, and it's not different here in Czech Republic, because I mentioned we have a largest number of stores per capita, and the biggest share of the stores are those really really small stores. And then I think nowadays we are seeing more established stores locally moving to Shopify, or at least thinking about it, kind of discovering, asking. They kind of know about the platform. They are still not ready to do the change, but they are kind of scoping what it would take. That's sort of the second biggest group. And then we have like a few large enterprise locally who are typically running their own in-house platform, and Shopify wouldn't make sense for them. But we have also seen recently some of the bigger ones move to Shopify. So it depends on your needs and how you are kind of used to operate. If you have a large business running on a custom platform, then probably Shopify would be really challenging for you to kind of move on, because you would need to do a lot of customizations. But if you are using some different platform, then moving from a platform to another is definitely much more easier.
Yeah. Now circling back to the earlier question that we had about what are some of the most commonly used tools that store owners would generally resort to? As you've seen, the typical list of demands that a store owner would tend to have. Has Digismoothie sort of considered being like a partner agency with these companies at the end of the day, because you're interacting with so many of these clients who are requesting for these tools, right? And Digismoothie sort of become like a gateway for a lot of these app companies to basically onboard more users. So is partnership something that Digismoothie generally considers with these app developers or app companies?
Right. So we have a few local partnerships, or let's say integrations, which we kind of converted into the public apps. So that's one type, and the other type is more like that's something we honestly don't do much, because I think every client has a very different needs, and there are a few partners here and there, or companies here and there which services we are using repeatedly, but it doesn't necessarily mean we sort of need to partner up with them, because the service is good and it's kind of very easy to transfer it to client for their benefit. So there's no need to partner, to be honest. And we see it also from the app side. So we are app developer too, and we have seen many agencies installing our apps to their clients, like multiple clients, and we never had an interaction with them from our side. So I think if the service or product is good enough, then the agency will find it itself, and there doesn't necessarily need to be established partnership in form of some revenue share or something like that. But it helps to kind of if you are installing a lot of if you are kind of helping the app developer with installing a lot of their apps, then it's good to have some sort of a technical gateway into their company, because sometimes something may not working 100%, or the client has a very customized solution, so you can tweak a bit the app. So then it helps to have some sort of at least a contact, but it doesn't necessarily need to be a fully established partnership.
So I mean, revenue sharing is essentially really isn't like a strong incentive for any format of like a partnership. So it has to be really more value driven, where there's value in your product, and the product itself has a good UI UX, and it's being able to provide a seamless service at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly. So just be a good product and have a good company values which we can connect with, and that's the key thing, because the revenue share, if you think about it, we are typically building stores for starting around $10,000. So the revenue share from installing the app compared to this is very small. So you kind of it's not that important. And also during the month, we have capacity to deliver only a few stores, not hundreds. So so building this as a large base doesn't work either. So at the end of the day, it's not about the revenue share. It's more about, is this partner good enough that I am willing to kind of put or connect our brand with them as well and recommend it to our clients.
Yeah.
I think is the key question.
Yeah, no, that's rightfully so. I mean, like, at the end of the day, if the platform isn't, fully up to scratch, it's obviously very difficult for someone to recommend, because you ideally want the user to have like a seamless experience. Does Digismoothie generally also, like, after making the website, right, like up the storefront, is Digismoothie in any way, or does Digismoothie these management for the end user, or it's generally like, you make a full end, like, a storefront, like a website store, and the user at the end of the day remains responsible for managing them?
So we are thinking about this model. We haven't found the right client yet, but we are still thinking about it because we think what we know internally and is e-commerce in general, right? So if you need help with it, then we can help you with that. But we haven't kind of implemented it with any client yet. We are kind of still thinking how to position it and who is the right client for us. So a lot of the times we build a store, we deliver it, the client takes it over, but they are coming back a lot of times because they want to run some special campaigns, so they need to adjust something, or they need to test something new, or they want something to be changed on their store. So with some of the simple tasks, they are able to do it themselves, but if it's more complex or they don't have time to do it, they come back to us and we kind of work with them continuously.
Yeah. I mean, that just brings us to like this one like key question. Like, it's been 2.5 years. This year's just started. Q1's about to end. So what are some of the milestones that Digismoothie is looking forward to achieve this year?
So we have a couple of goals. I think I can divide them maybe to groups. So the monetary goal will be overachieving the 300K MRR by end of this year from the apps business. For the agency, we have recently launched sort of a task store. So if you need something to be done on the store, you can simply purchase it as a product on our store.
Oh, wow.
So
okay.
We are basically trying to, I think productize is the right word. We are trying to productize our services. So we kind of decrease the length of the sales cycle, and some of the simple tasks we kind of sort out very quickly. So the store is working pretty well. It's currently only for the Czech market, but we are planning to do it globally. And that kind of brings me to second agency goal, which would be having more international clients. So when we started, it was like 100% Czech clients, but now more and more even international clients are coming to us, and that's the space we want to get kind of more attention in. And the third would be product goals. So we have a still big plans in the upsell space. So we want to revamp Kendirect and make it the best upsell app on the market. And we recently moved into analytics business with a loyal app. So that's something we want to continue. And some of our newer apps we are also building to be like so they are not like deeply tailored for Shopify, but they are kind of ready to be used on different platforms or as a standalone web service as well. So I think during this year we also want to kind of pivot some other platform except Shopify.
Okay, well, now that just reminds me that you were on Magento. Maybe like we'll get to see Digismoothie come up on Magento.
We are still open about that. I'm personally,
Yeah.
not sure Magento is the right sort of space for us.
That just jokes aside though. I mean, I had another joke running at the back of my head, which was like, oh, you're revamping Candy Rack, and you're also like, your services are now available as products. Now you're gonna like add Candy Rack to upsell additional product that can be purchased from the services that Digismoothie is offering. So it's a very synchronized relationship that's going on here. But no, it's fantastic. Like, I'm very excited to see what Digismoothie does in the coming year. And most importantly, now that you're finally having, not finally, but like a lot of these international clients are coming in, it's actually a very exciting time for Digismoothie. Where would you say like a lot of these international like clients are, you're out of Czech market like coming from?
So in the apps business, we have like I think 70 to 80% are English speaking markets. So it basically kind of follows where Shopify is being used around the globe. So the North America, UK, Australia are really strong.
Wow.
But we also see a lot of growth in Europe, and that again follows kind of Shopify's kind of strategy and goals to expand more in Europe and Asia. So it's really global. When it comes to the agency, as I said, it's like today, I would say 90% is a Czech market, but we are starting to getting international clients, even just leads. Sometimes it kind of ends with some actual work, but the exciting thing is that we are getting there slowly, but it's kind of working.
It's a journey, not a destination. So like, one day at a time. With that being said, we are, now that we are like a very globally connected economy, right? Like a little things tend to like have a domino effect everywhere. And with the impact of a regional war rippling across the world, right? What has been the impact of it on the consumer confidence and perception in the Czech Republic market and Europe so far? And how are local brands like really responding to such dark times, and like also like at the same time absorbing and managing the economic shock that's like, spiraling?
Yeah, so it's very sad time, and it's very difficult, especially for people in Ukraine. I think locally, and I'm really happy to see that, is the Czech Republic is being really helpful and really active in helping the refugees in Ukraine, not just on the government side, but a lot of also on in the private sector and as individuals. So we are helping as a company as well. Everyone here and around me is trying to help. So that's kind of, at least on the positive side, that there are people to help. What it means for the business is that I think I read this morning that the stock markets got to levels prior the war started. So I don't know about that. I'm not a capital market expert, but that kind of says something. In general, what we saw was at the beginning, in the first week or two, there was a lot of uncertainty, and people and businesses were kind of holding back their investments. So I think originally it affected the consumer spend a bit, and also company investments. But according to markets and the situation, it's kind of getting back to normal. But the help continues. So that's the situation.
I mean, good luck to everyone out there who's doing their best to help out the impacted citizens of Ukraine, and everyone across their families, their friends. Best wishes to them, and hope that their times do get better and the war do come to an end. With that being said, our segment is also coming to its near end. But what we would love from you is like, one key parting advice for existing and future store owners. Like the whole global economy isn't just starting to recover from a global pandemic, but there's a war in the neighboring countries, and the pandemic recovery is happening at the same time. So these are quite the unprecedented times, and businesses don't really have a playbook anymore to what should be our next step. So for all retail based e-commerce businesses, one would be your parting advice.
So I think if you are running a business which is already, been on for a few years, then I think it's about diminishing the risks and understanding the risks around your business. So you need to constantly think, what are the risks, and what can I do as a business owner to minimize them. So if you are selling one product, maybe it's time to kind of expand your portfolio a bit to kind of minimize the risk of selling only one product and then have other competition undercut you on price or whatever. If you are selling in small territory, then it's about expanding globally, and with platforms like Shopify and things like payments and markets, it's becoming very easily. So if you are in a business, think about the risks and how can you minimize them. That's I think that's the number one thing for me, and how I think about the business. If you are thinking about starting the business on Shopify, then you necessarily don't need to be good in e-commerce. I think when I started in 2008 on the Magento, it really helped that you are sort of a bit of everything from the e-commerce. But nowadays, thanks to those platforms like Shopify and others, you don't need to be good in e-commerce. You actually don't need to understand it, because the platform and the tools around will help you. But what you really need to be good at and be on top of is your product. So be passionate about what you are selling. That's I think the key to success if you are thinking about starting online business. So be on top of your product. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, fantastic advice. Totally agree with you on this. I fully understand the need for diversifying your portfolio. You get to see some of that happening across mobile phone manufacturers. You look at Samsung, they were mostly focused on producing high-end smartphones. If you even look at Apple, they were mostly focused with producing their special ranges, the Ultra phones, the Pro Max phones, but now they're coming up with the iPhone SE to sort of really, really focus on the mid-budget markets. So they are every businesses are diversifying across different price segments. So hitting each of these price segments and diversifying your product range is quite important these days. And also taking your product global, definitely assessing which markets have a need for the product you're selling, and then taking it across border, and having Shopify allowing you to do that, enabling you to do that. It's definitely it has to be a part of any businessman's playbook now. Thank you so much, Tomas. I've got to learn a lot from you today. I'm sure our listeners will have very key points to learn from you. You're a massive inspiration, and to just not to me, but probably to our listeners as well. So best of luck to you and the next milestones that Digismoothie are gonna take on this year. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you very much, Red, for having me. It was a pleasure. I really enjoyed it, and I hope the listeners will enjoy it as well. And stay safe, everyone.
Yeah, thank you.